Hello, my name's Ben.
And my name's Josh.
Welcome back to FPL Graduates. Welcome back to another video where today we're going to be jumping straight into our Game Week 31 teams. Josh has wildcarded. I've got two free transfers, so there's a lot happening. Remember, if you haven't subscribed already, please remember to do so. 60% of you who are watching this right now aren't subscribed, so get subscribing and let's get into our teams.
Okay, then we'll kick off with my wild card. So currently ranked at 2.5k in the world, and the main aim this season is to break into the top 1k after just finishing outside it last season. It's going to be the Game Week 31 wild card, followed by a Game Week 34 free hit, followed by the Game Week 37 bench boost. That is the plan. I will undoubtedly stick to that now I've hit my wild card button. So in the defence, we've got Onana in goal. Main thinking here, to be honest, the goalkeeper situation for this game week isn't ideal. But for game week 37, both these guys double, which means I'll have two keepers who will hopefully double, barring injuries and selection issues and all that jazz that could crop up in the 6 weeks. So Chelsea away, obviously we saw United just throughout this season. They concede a hell of a lot of shots. Ranking with the likes of Luton and Sheffield United, and that's one of the main pluses of Onana, and that's one of the main reasons why he's one of the highest scoring keepers this season. It's because the sheer amount of saves that he has to make at the moment. So I think again, similar situation at the Bridge. I think on Thursday night, Onana will have to make loads of saves. What's your thoughts on that goalkeeper pairing, Ben? Obviously, you're not wildcarding at the moment. Do you think maybe it's overrated, or do you think there's better goalkeepers out there?
It's a decent pairing because there's not too many clean sheets going about, regardless of any team at the moment. So if you can pick up the ones that are getting a save points and potentially have a bit of a higher sort of points potential with Onana, like he does, like his ceiling is going to be quite high, but he's not going to get potentially 1 or 2 points. He'll probably get more than that. So yeah, I don't mind the two of them that both double in 37. It's a perfect way of thinking. Of course, like there's potential that Petrovic, that so much could happen in the next few weeks that he
Yeah.
could end up miraculously getting out of the team, but I don't see that happening. So yeah, fairly decent start.
Nice. And then moving on into the defence, we've got Dan Burn with Everton at home. I've been flip flapping between the idea of, you'll see in a bit. I'm not gonna spoil the midfield, but basically there's a way that I've cut my budget in midfield to enable a slightly stronger defence than maybe some other wildcarders would have. That's mainly because Jamal Lascelles got injured at the weekend. He was a shoe in on the wildcard, which is kind of a benefit for wildcard in 31 because I've managed to avoid his ACL injury. He'll be out for the rest of the season now. Dan Burn is pretty much nailed in that defence. They barely have anyone fit enough to play. So he's got Everton at home this week, which I really like. Obviously, doubles in 37 as well. We then got Conor Bradley. Obviously, him being able to wildcard this week allows me to bring in players that I can sort of punt on for a week or two, and I think that's going to be the case with Bradley. Sheffield United at home this week. I know Trent said he'll be trying to come back for that Crystal Palace fixture. I still think Bradley will get minutes in that fixture, and then maybe Trent will start against United rather than him just force him way back straight away. Obviously, it's quite a lengthy injury that he's missed out on. So I quite like Bradley, and as we saw at the weekend, 2 bonus points despite not getting any returns is lovely. And then obviously Gabriel is the guy that I've gone for from the Arsenal defence. We spoke about Kiwior in our transfer targets video earlier today, so if you haven't seen that, make sure you do check it out. I've gone for Gabriel just for security because Tomiyasu's back, Zinchenko's back. I think there could be some rotation depending on their opponents that they're facing, especially in a game against like Luton, where I think Zinchenko will probably be operating more in that position. So I've gone with Gabriel. Hopefully he can score a bullet header for me, but every time I pick him, he seems to be benched. So what's your thoughts on the defence, Ben?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm not as keen as you are on the defence. Particularly Dan Burn is the one that I'm looking at and thinking, are Newcastle going to keep clean sheets with the majority of their back four out? We haven't seen it too much with a bit of a stronger back four, and now they've got 1 or 2 fit centre backs or senior centre backs. I'm
Yeah.
not as convinced on those clean sheet potential, albeit that could be improved by game week 37. Bradley, I agree, is a 1 or 2 week punt. That's a transfer out waiting to happen. But if you can get a lot of points out of that in the next week, then I can see the reasons why you've got him in. And then Gabriel, yeah, should be in most wildcard drafts. Him or Saliba are pretty much a shoe-in at this point. So, yeah, all in all, not a bad defence. There's a couple of points that may mean that you have to make some transfers down the line, but that's always going to be the case with the defenders. Not too many decent options in that department.
Okay, then, so moving on to the midfield, playing a 3-4-3. Cole Palmer, he picks himself. There's so much value tied up in him. United at home this week. Obviously, Chelsea do have the double in 36 as well, which is really, really tasty. So he's a guaranteed on everyone's team pretty much at this stage. Same with Mo Salah, Sheffield United at home this week. Obviously, they double in 34. Not too much of an issue for me because obviously I'll be free hitting in that week, so I can avoid the likes of maybe Wolves and Palace, who don't have the best of fixtures going up into that game week. And then we've got Son and Havertz, who's the guy who I've picked instead of Saka because of just trying to save some budget and put some more money into the defence. Because with all these premium assets, with the Son, Salah, etc., you just have to cut budget somewhere. And for me, Saka, obviously he's had that injury, he's been lingering around for a while. I think a game like Luton, it would be similar to Sheffield United. If they wrap that up early, he's going to be one of the first ones to get pulled. Whereas Havertz, like we mentioned as well in the transfer targets video that we recorded earlier today, that he's sort of matching Saka's output at the moment when he starts. So I'm happy with him. Son, it's a difficult one. I think he's okay for now. I'm not too sold on this Spurs team, to be honest. I think they're quite hit and miss, and you definitely can't guarantee returns from Son at the moment. So he is someone that I could easily downgrade to a Phil Foden, a Bukayo Saka if I want to. It's just a case of sort of trying to cover one of them. So I've chosen Son in this instance as he's the most expensive. What's your thoughts on that, Ben?
Yeah, sensible midfield there. Fairly template with the three of them with one differential in Havertz. Obviously, it's a risk going without Saka, but you have covered it somewhat. And then obviously with Son in there as well, you sort of covered yourself for the doubles that Spurs have going forward. And then the team's strong enough that you can bench him when he blanks as well. So all in all, fairly decent, fairly template. Not too much to complain about there.
Okay, then, so moving on to the forwards, we've got Erling Haaland in there. For me, he's a banker in my sort of strategy at the moment. Obviously, he's doubling in 37. The title race is like wide open, which is absolutely perfect for my strategy. I need it to go down to the wire in order to make the most out of these sort of chips that I've got left. Villa at home this week, not an easy game. Should be interesting to see how the title race sort of unfolds in the coming weeks. There's some difficult fixtures for all the three teams that are in it. Isaac, I really wanted him last week, which is obviously clear to say after he scores a brace. But I think he's going to be a really good asset going forward if he can stay fit. Him and Gordon, both really good picks. Obviously, Gordon suspended for this weekend on 8 yellow cards, which isn't ideal. But obviously, bringing him in later down the line, maybe for the likes of a Son or a Havertz when they don't double, I think that will be something that I look at doing. Everton at home this week as well. Newcastle's fixtures between now and that double 37 are really good, so hence why we're getting on them early instead of maybe getting on the United assets early at this stage. And then obviously Darwin Nunez, as we discussed, Sheffield United at home this week. It's a prime fixture. Having that triple up on Liverpool is a really nice differential compared to managers who probably can't get there with their free transfers. So yeah, really nice pick there. What's your thoughts on the forward line, Ben?
Yeah, decent. You can tell you've gone. That decision was Isak over Hoyland for you in the striker department, and obviously Haaland's a pick that everyone's going to have in himself. And then Darwin, I really like the pick, and obviously it's a little bit of a risk with how sort of wild he's been as an FPL asset. But all in all, I think that's really strong in terms of the attacking department and sort of covers you for every sort of double game week that you've got coming up.
Yeah, exactly. The plan with this as well, I should say, in 37 is I'll have 15 doublers by the time it comes around with obviously free transfers, as long as I don't get absolutely crucified by loads of injuries and stuff like that. So that should be good. Just touching on my bench. Obviously, we've got Petrovic, as we discussed earlier. Garnacho as well, who obviously is a really nice enabler off the bench, really cheap as well. Has sort of good fixtures when players in the team has bad fixtures. Rotates really well with the assets in the team. And then we've got Van Heck, obviously Brighton's defence, not too bad. Decent fixtures in there, obviously doubling 37 as well, 4.1 million, really cheap and nice. And then obviously Malo Gusto as well, good attacking threat. Surprising its score against Burnley, had so many chances, chances created, was really good. Obviously might be a slight injury risk, but I don't think it's anything too serious to maybe keep him out for a few weeks, so he'll still be in my wildcard draft.
Okay, so moving into my team, this is how my defence is lining up. In goal, we've got Dubravka against Everton at home. Of course, Areola is out with an injury, so he picks himself. In the defence, Gabriel, just like Josh, Luton at home is a really nice fixture for him. Ait Nouri, Burnley away, another good fixture. Burnley sort of conceding a lot of chances. And then Udogie has got West Ham away. I'm not too confident on the clean sheets from the last two in Nori and Udogie, but I do think their attacking potential is really high. The guys that I've benched from the defence is Ezri Konza and Kirkes. Kirkes obviously played and got a clean sheet for Bournemouth last game week, but they've got all of their fullbacks back fit and firing, so we'll have to see what happens with that. Josh, what are your thoughts on the defence? A couple of away fixtures, a couple of home fixtures, but all in all, sort of fairly strong in that department.
Yeah, I like Newcastle defence this week. Everton at home. Everton really struggled to score goals. So that's a really nice pick there. Gabriel, obviously, in my team, decent pick. Everyone's going to have an Arsenal defender this week. Nori, really good attacking threat. Burnley away is a perfect fixture for that. I don't think the clean sheet potential's there just because Burnley are scoring goals at the moment. They're not too bad going forward, which is good for them. And then Udogie, someone who I've considered on my wild card, just haven't really gone there. Just because I think he is a little bit too expensive for me at the moment, especially with sort of, you see my team with the budget and stuff like that. But like you say, good attacking threat against a West Ham team who, as we saw at the weekend, just concede a lot of goals.
Yes, they do indeed, which is why I've kept on this week. There's a thought potentially of selling him this week, but I don't think I'm going to do that now. Bukayo Saka also keeps his place in the team against Luton at home. I think he's obviously limping off, but it didn't really look like an injury. It looked like sort of an excuse to come off. Cole Palmer, Man United at home is a decent fixture, and then Salah comes in for Phil Foden. So Foden is the one to make way. That's the midfield, an interesting choice because I had to drop a decent FPL player with. Let's face it, they all have decent fixtures going forward, so a really tough decision. But Foden out and Salah is the one that I've gone for. Josh, what's the thoughts on that?
Yeah, like you say, it's really tough. I think if Saka didn't have Luton at home this week, you could definitely make a case for him going instead of Foden. Man City's fixtures after this Villa one turn really, really nice. Obviously, they have the Dublin 37 as well, which will be covered by your wild card. So it's basically just got to try and fit in as many sort of doublers and stuff like that up until 34. And obviously, Salah fits the bill. You need him this week. He's going to be super, super high owned. So yeah, good transfer there.
Yeah, so it's worth considering my transfers are all working towards double game week 34. With the free transfers that I make, I aim to have a full starting 11 of doublers, which will be ideal. So this is one of my thoughts going into my strike force and the other transfer that I've made, which is Watkins out and Mateta in to facilitate that Salah transfer. Not really based too much on the stats, but more on the fixtures that he's got going forwards. Obviously, got a decent one this week against Bournemouth away, a couple of tough ones before his nice double game week 34. Solanke in there as well has kept his place. For those that are wildcarding, may not have brought him in, just like Josh, but he is a fantastic option with a fantastic fixture this week. And then Haaland with a fairly difficult fixture against Villa at home. Hasn't looked too great over the last couple of game weeks, but has faced tough defences. This one may be a little bit easier. Josh, what's the thoughts on the strike force and the enabler there?
Yeah, I like Mateta. I think, like you say, he's a good option between sort of for this week, and then you can bench him for the next couple. And then Solanke, I really like him. I've liked him all season. He's been a fantastic asset for me. And like you say, wildcarders just won't go with him. It's just like, especially if they're free hitting 34. The fixtures are nice, but they're just nowhere near sort of the importance of like an Isak and a Nunez at the moment. So yeah, really nice differential to have, and I think his ownership will definitely creep down after being really, really high in recent weeks. And yeah, Haaland, you just got to own him at this stage. Like, I know he's not necessarily performing at his peak, but you just know he'll come away in one of these game weeks with an absolute monster haul.
Yes, and then on the bench, we've obviously got Areola, Kirkes and Conser that we mentioned, as well as Gordon, who is on a suspension after his red card. The thought was just to keep Gordon on for the decent fixtures that Newcastle have got going forwards, and if I need to, over the course of the next couple of game weeks, I can move that onto a decent double game week enabler as well. So that's the full team for game week 31. Let me know your thoughts on the team in the comments.
So that wraps up our Game Week 31 team selection video. Let me know what you think of my wildcard draft in the comments. Am I making some mistakes in that back line, as Ben mentioned, or do you think they are okay picks going forwards?
And as always, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the FPL Graduates. And as always, I've been Ben.
I've been Josh.
And we'll see you guys
later. Have a good game week, everyone.
Oh, you may rise, but you'll never make me